Hi, this is Gail Tucker with Liberty University, and I am recording my video discussion question. This is a review of our immersion project that we've done this semester, both the interview as well as kind of the in-depth paper that we did on our selected population. So my population was the Little Shell Chippewa Indian tribe. This is a tribe in the Great Falls, Montana area that I've become more familiar with over the past month or so. I'm trying to change my slide here, I'm sorry. Okay, I'd like to explain a little bit about the historical and current oppression. So the Little Shell Indian tribe is different than the Blackfoot Reservation up here and several other of the major reservations. The Little Shell Indian tribe is one of the Chippewa tribes, and they actually started out kind of in the Minnesota, the Great Lakes area. They followed the buffalo and kind of worked their way to the plains of North Dakota and later to Montana. When they were still in North Dakota, there was a sell-off of land, and it was called the 10-cent sell, where it was 10 cents per acre for Native Americans to sell their land. The chief of the Little Shells did not think that that was a wise thing to do, so they did not. And apparently, the other tribes were able to at least get some monetary value, but the Little Shell tribe did not. So they ended up being in a lot of poverty, and they split up somewhat, but most of them came Montana way. And they lived kind of on the fringes of society in Montana. It was interesting, they were not considered part of the white Americans. Even though they were, of course, Native Americans, they were born here before anybody, but they weren't considered part of the white Americans, and they neither were considered part of the Native Americans either, of the major tribes in Montana. Finally, in 2019, almost 100 years later, they were finally recognized, and there's pictures of President Trump, of Tester, our senator, signing a document saying that they were finally federally recognized. And then I'll get into a little bit about why this is important in the next slides. I'm sorry, my slides are changing kind of slow here. There we go. The summary of the agency that I interviewed was the newly formed Little Shell Chippewa Indian Tribe office here in Great Falls, Montana. They offer several programs. I interviewed some of the administrators there, and what they told me is that they have now a healthcare division, which certainly has a COVID subsection of it. They also have a transportation section. They have at least 4 vans now that provide transportation to healthcare appointments, mental health appointments, as well as to tribal events. They also have some mental health programs, addiction programs, and referral services, and a housing program. There is a very high rate of homelessness among the members of this tribe, and so they're starting to help out in that direction as far as not only providing money resources for deposits and things like that, but referrals to Opportunities Inc. and other people that can provide Section 8 housing. And again, I'm sorry, with filming this, my my slides don't want to change very fast, but eventually it will. All right, summary of the individual that I interviewed was Calvin, and now they're changing a lot. Summary of the individual that I interviewed was Calvin. In my paper, I kind of told his story as he told it to me. He is a Little Shell Chippewa, and he now works for this office that they have now opened. The administration had told me that they only received 3 acres of land when they received their federal recognition. However, Calvin said that actually it's 300 acres of land. So the 3 acres is what the office sits on, and then they have 200 to 300 acres out in the country as well near Great Falls. He's a Native American singer who is a recovering addict and alcoholic, and that's how I met him because I'm an addiction counselor, and he was a speaker at one of our meetings. He's the outreach coordinator there now at the Little Shell Tribe. And so he's a very interesting individual to speak to. He correlated all of the history that I read online as well as what the administration of the Little Shell office told me. So it's all very, very interesting to learn about. Lessons learned from all of this was, they ask us in our paper about what emotions we felt. And I think mostly I felt very sad for this tribe because there are some very rich tribes in the area that run casinos and hotels. There's something called a land buyback here in Montana, and they will get thousands of dollars. Individuals will every year from the land buyback programs. But since the Little Shell Chippewa weren't recognized, they didn't get any of these benefits. They actually, as I said, weren't white Americans and they weren't natives, so they didn't get the scholarships as being Native Americans. They weren't necessarily part of the Indian Health Services unless they had other origin besides the Little Shell Chippewa. And so I felt that it was very sad and that there's a generational trauma. I mean, certainly Calvin had experienced a lot of homelessness and drug addiction. He came from a very traumatized youth. His family was broken and he ran away from home very early. And I feel like this is the truth about many of the people that are part of this tribe. There's only about 4,500 tribe members. And so there's a lot of hard lives among those people and a lot of generational trauma. So I feel very sad for them. Um, as as an addiction counselor, that's one of the things certainly that I picked up on that I will try to look at more is educating those people that I counsel. And I did start to question people what tribe they were from because I do see a lot of Native Americans. And I was surprised. I thought most of them were from the Blackfoot tribe, but over 50% of them were from Little Shell. So I started to educate them on what I've learned about their heritage and then also about the resources that are now available to them because it is a federally recognized tribe. So this can be very helpful in my current role as an addiction counselor as well as future mental health counseling. So thank you for listening to this and take care.